Okay, we're live. Waiting for Veronica. We'll just start until she gets here. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Wareham Zoning Board of Appeals. Tonight is Wednesday, July 27, 2022, and we are at the Multi-Service Center, room 320 at the Multi-Service Center, 48 Marion Road, Wareham, Mass. I want to call the meeting to order. I make my roll call. My far left, our member Richard Semple. My far right, associate member Troy Larson. Our clerk, Jim Akabachi. Myself, the chair, Nazi Al-Khalasi, also present. Independent consultant, professional engineer, Mr. Charles Rowley. Just for the night, Mr. Morrison's not going to attend. So Mr. Troy Larson will be taking his seat or vote for him throughout the night. And Mrs. Debanese will be here in a few minutes, supposedly. I want to start some business on the minutes. So the minutes, guys.
The minutes were distributed electronically. I've reviewed them. Veronica's here, by the way.
Okay, and for the record, Veronica Debanese just came in, and it is 6:32 p.m.
So
Right,
they
so
were
we'll
they
have
were
full vote.
distributed electronically. I've reviewed them. There were a couple of minor typos. I think somebody else noticed a couple things that have been corrected. And I make a motion to approve the minutes from 1/8/2020, 2020, 2/12/2022, I'm sorry, 2/12/20, 3/11/20, 4/27/22, and 7/13/22.
All right, any discussion on that, on the minutes? No? Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? Abstain. Okay, so 5-0-0 for the minutes. We're gonna go to Woodland Cove, review of compliance with special permit. Oh, hi, Peter. Good evening.
What's happening?
For the record, Peter Freeman, Freeman Law Group attorney representing the applicant, and Mark Pilat from Dakota. So you went to a site visit between the last time this was on the agenda and now, and also at that first meeting, we had not had a list from Ken Buckland. He then did give a list. And either yesterday or today, I believe it was well, it might have been yesterday.
I think it was early this morning. We sent it off
Early
to
this
Ken.
morning, Muma Hermanstein from Dakota submitted a list that showed the conditions that Ken had asked about and a commentary on the right side to give the status. So I don't know if you had that yet, if you've received it. It was submitted. I don't know, is Ken here?
Ken's on video.
Okay, on
Okay,
video.
okay.
We had an issue today, Council. The commissioner went and put a cease desist because a lot of condition has not been met.
I have to draw the line on distinctions when you say that. We were shown that letter the first time today. There have been discussions, and there will continue to be discussions with the building commissioner and the fire chief. I saw the letter, but just today, because we hadn't been aware of it. So at this point, those are fire chief matters and building code matters. It's not a zoning enforcement thing. We certainly can discuss those with you after we have a chance to talk to them and work it out, because that's the first step that anybody would do, is meet with the entity or the person that wrote the letter. So that's not what we're here for tonight. I'm not trying to evade it. My guys will jump on it, absolutely.
Right.
And if it's necessary to come back and talk to you folks about it, we'd be happy to. Transparent, full, open disclosure. But it's just not, we're not able to talk about it tonight because we just got it, and they have to talk to both the building commissioner and
And
the
Friday, they have to work it out.
Yeah, I mean, certainly.
I thought you were here for this tonight already, and because we can't do nothing about it until it's
No,
addressed with
yeah,
them.
Right, the only thing that we're here for, and again, the nature of the beast, a cease and desist order, my guys need to jump on it, so they will, of course. But what we're here for are the items that Ken Buckland had sent us about 2 weeks ago. It was right after the hearing, which was 2 weeks ago, so it was a little less than 2 weeks ago. Again, if it just came this morning, I apologize, but I can briefly go through it. I don't need to read it
Yeah,
verbatim.
sure.
Sure. So the first one was really just a continuation of the peer-reviewed Chapter 4453G check, and that's fine. You know, we simply commented that, you know, send us an invoice and the W-9
Right.
form, and, you know, it'll be paid. You know, there's no issue there. The next one is the NIPDES, the National Pollution Discharge Elimination System. What happened there is really a change in the law. It was done originally. There then was an update on the so-called construction general permit. I forget if it was a new 21 or 2022 edition, but Dominique Rinaldi, our engineer, has taken care of that, and that was also transmitted today. Again, I apologize that you know, wouldn't have a chance to see it, but he's our expert. He's done a good job, and so that takes care of that condition because it's now been filed with the, I believe it's with the.
Can you, Counsel, can you get this closer to you so we could hear better, if you don't mind?
Yeah. So that is now on file. You have that NIPDES and the SWIP, and it is filed with the proper, I think, Army Corps of Engineers, where it gets filed. The next one was landscape plan for administrative approval, and that was submitted during the course of the 40B hearings. I think my guys assumed that, you know, it had been reviewed and approved, and there hadn't been any question with the building department. So again, that's submitted, you know, so it is a detailed plan. So that is something that you, and we believe you already had it, but you certainly have it now. It's similar for the next one, which is a construction mitigation plan, and that's typical. There's no substantive issue there. It was also sheet C100. In certain phases, it was to be specific. It's been broken down into the specific phases, and that is now in your possession. It was part of the plan submission set, so I'm told. If I'm wrong, Mark, correct me.
I believe so, and
Yeah.
plus, I think we came back here for an adjustment of the phases, so that kind of outlined the changes so that you guys understood. I think we went through it 3 times
Right,
at the end of the day.
right. So now that's why the mitigation is really broken down into the phases. Then the second to last thing is a revised plan to show grading, slope, treatment, paving related to the cul-de-sac to be constructed within Phase 2. And that, the phase numbering is confusing because normally you'd think
Right.
Phase 1, then Phase 2, then Phase 3, but as you recall, we had named them on plan, so we wound up constructing, what was it, Phase 2 first?
We ended up doing Phase 2 first and adding the clubhouse to it, which was originally not
Right.
part of it, if you recall. So
Right.
he's just trying to keep with line to what our approval was, Phase 2. And I believe that was all part of the package when we started
I
construction.
think it's gonna go Phase 2, 1, 3.
Exactly.
But the clubhouse got advanced to part of
And the
Phase.
clubhouse,
It is part of Phase 1.
which you
I mean,
presumably
Phase 2.
saw, I didn't go on the site visit, but if you were at the site visit, it's, I've seen pictures, so it's substantially completed,
I can see it at 45 miles an hour from Cranberry Highway.
okay? 45, 50, 40?
It's a 30-mile-an-hour zone, you know.
I know.
Tonight, it's a little slower, there's traffic. And then the final one is a bond which candidly should have been taken care of. It's not a large amount. We just submitted that today. They do have a bond in the works, which is to cover the completion of the access driveway leading to Red Brick Road.
And
For-
the clubhouse.
Well, that's a separate condition, actually, but which isn't listed here by mistake, or maybe it is listed here, but the main bond is for, at this point, that road. And I just opened it up and maybe can see what the amount that we are proposing.
So I think all we're waiting for is just a comment on the bond amount. If we're,
Yeah.
if the building department thinks that is the appropriate number, then so be it. We'll get that taken care of immediately.
Yeah.
I
So-
think when you guys change phases, the cul-de-sac and that road, it get lost in the process. That thing was supposed to be built first for safety.
The cul-de-sac?
I believe the temporary cul-de-sac. Charlie's more aware of these designs, so I just want to pass the question to him. Charlie.
Charlie?
As I recall it, and I've got to go back to the first plan because
Right.
once phases were changed, be honest with you, I got confused as to what I was inspecting. But the original one showed the buildings on the left, next to where the motel is, it's gonna be taken down, going to the back, and there was a cul-de-sac in the back that terminated right there.
Temporarily one? That's temporary, not
That was
permanent.
temporary, correct,
Right.
because the road was going to stop there initially, and then once it was carried through and comes out on Red Brick Road, then there'd be no need for the cul-de-sac, and a portion of it could be taken out. So, as I've been listening to all this, it would be very helpful to me if even there was a small-scale plan detailing exactly where the phases are now, just by a dashed line around X number of buildings and so much roadway, and it says Phase 1, call it Phase 1 if you want to, as what you're developing today, Phase 2 and Phase 3, irrespective of what it went the first time.
Yep.
What it is now, it would be very helpful to me, so I can make sure that I'm looking at all that I need to look at as you go through these phases. So far, the inspections have been going great,
Yeah.
I have no problem with them, but I was not privy to some of the changes you made at the time, and so I do have the up-to-date plans, but how much is in Phase 1, Phase 2, and Phase 3, I have no idea.
Yeah, and that's not a problem. I'll be more than happy to get you a copy of that and sit down with you and walk you through
Well,
the
just
phases.
mark it out with a dashed line around the various phases and label them, so I know how much of the plan is being done at once.
Yeah.
And that's all I really need.
Not a problem. And again, that Phase 2, which is the Phase 1 that we're doing now, is coming off of Red Brook. It'll come in, feed to the clubhouse, continue past the next building, which that is part of Phase 3. Then it'll be the next two buildings after that, which is the ones we're building now. The cul-de-sac is at the end of that. But I'll mark up a plan for you. It'll just help you understand a little easier.
And-
So if I remember everything, the cul-de-sac in the original plan is no longer necessary because when we changed the phasing, you were coming in off Red Brook Road and bringing in the road from Red Brook, which was the reason for the cul-de-sac that we're discussing.
That is
You don't need
correct.
it anymore because you're coming all the way in from Red Brook. You're you're cutting across the front of Phase 2 and heading back towards Phase 1, but Phase 1 isn't being done until the second part of the
Right.
process. So if anything, the cul-de-sac would move out to behind where the motel is.
The cul-de-sac is still required. It's still required as part of this initial,
The same spot?
at the same spot, because it's where those two phases came together, Phase 1 and Phase 2, and that cul-de-sac used to be at the end of
Yeah,
that Phase
yeah.
1. All I'm doing is not doing that, and I'm just flipping that cul-de-sac over and ending it there, similar to what was originally done.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
it's,
yeah, that's the way I recall it.
yeah, so,
So, just out of curiosity, excuse me for, when is it proposed that that motel will disappear? Just, that's more of a curiosity than a phasing question.
I think, truthfully, we're all in the process of getting it done. It was just, I think there's a couple things that we gotta just take care of first. It was, I think the main holdup, truthfully, was the gas line. And we gotta get that taken care of, getting that disconnected at the street with the gas company. And as you know, dealing either with gas, electricity, it's a long process
I
sometimes.
get it.
One
I
we
didn't know if it was being saved as like a, kind of like a blind to the site, or...
No. No, it's, we're trying to get it down. That's just the gas. That's,
Just part of the process, I got it.
unfortunately, but it's
I got
holding
it.
up everything else.
So that really covers everything, and Ken was helpful in, putting that together. As I say, I suspect that you would want him to review what was just submitted, get back to you as to where he thinks things are at, and I can't see you, Ken, but if you're watching and listening, well, there you are, I can see you, Ken. But you can do that and get back to me and Mark, and, we'll do whatever follow-up is necessary to make you happy. So I don't want to diminish the importance of them. They're all important, but, they're not, these particular items are more kind of administrative and making sure that, you have certain plans and that they're consistent with what the permit was. And so we'll do that and work with Ken, if that makes sense to you.
Ken,
Yes, that sounds fine. Just to let you know that I've passed on the documents to Charlie Rowley. He'll be reviewing the cost estimate, and when he gets the plan for the phasing that shows the roadway, he'll be able to confirm the cost estimate
Right.
as accurate as it needs to be. And the board can then vote on it and set the bond for the construction of the driveway.
Sure.
That's not a problem.
So,
Mr. Chairman, I have one question on that. When I will do a review of the cost estimate, and presumably I'll be able to give you a recommendation on the base number.
All right.
When bonds have been produced, especially for subdivisions and so forth, it has generally been the custom through the planning board to increase that number by a certain percentage to cover costs of inflation and also
50%.
for the cost of prevailing wages, should the town have to do something on this.
We do 50% with zoning.
The last one that we did, which was with Bay Point, we increased that percentage to 35%, only because of the significant changes we've seen in the cost of materials. We just don't know where it's gonna go. So
But
that will be
zoning
part of
up-
my recommendation, and.
Our
you
general
can see-
practice, the way we do it, 150%, not 35, 150 of the
Okay,
amount.
that's more than what I've been used to working with, but if that's your preference, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'll know to add that.
Yeah. And I shouldn't see too much of a increase in the material costs, especially when it comes to, you know, what's been done out there already. And you'll see that as you go through the numbers.
I won't be looking at any building costs, obviously.
Yeah.
It's the construction cost and what you've done to date, so I'm assuming that you've broken that out and said
I believe so.
certain things have been taken care of, they're already in the ground.
Yep.
So the fact that they're in the ground don't
Doesn't-
need to be bonded.
I agree.
It's the remaining work, right?
Yep, that's
Okay.
correct. That is
Right.
correct.
Very well.
okay, thank you very much, appreciate it.
I'd like to add something in here as well, too, that there are other conditions in the special permit, the comprehensive permit, that have to be followed through, but they're something that probably goes back to the certificate of occupancy and keyed into the issuance of that CO when they are due. But there are other items that are going to be due later on in the project.
Thank you for reminding us, and I indeed
There's
have gone.
quite some ways, I believe.
Yeah, and I've
so.
gone over that with my client, and they're broken down clearly in the comprehensive permit as to the pre-certificate of occupancy conditions, so thank you. We'll certainly make sure they take care of those.
Beautiful.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
Thanks for coming in, guys.
Thank you.
No, thank you. And if you guys want to do a site visit again, by all means, I suggest just getting a hold of, you know, my director of development, Mumar, or you can talk to the site guys. So at least we can get the hard hats and get everything out there for you.
All right, will do. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, 2-21, Settlers Glen. Settlers Glen. 3128B. Cranberry Highway. Okay, name and address for the record.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Michael O'Shaughnessy, the attorney with Settlers Glen, Middleborough, Mass. With me tonight is Ivo Cole. As the board may recall, we've requested a order from you folks directing the Onset Water Department to allow us to connect to their system. At the last hearing, we had some back and forth dialogue, and I believe, Mr. Chairman, you wanted to speak with town council to see if the board was able, willing to do so. So we're here tonight to see what the result
Yeah,
of that conversation was.
I kind of made my decision, and I did some research and stuff, and I talked to Mr. Candias. Apparently, it's not going anywhere with the water department, even if they agree to let you connect in the water, or even if you pay to connect on the road, they're not agreeing with the fees we did, which I totally oppose. This is our decision, and our decision gonna stand. That's my opinion. I wanna pass it by the board. Because Mr. Candias very clearly said they're not agreeable to what we said, and we can't change those fees or our conditions. Whatever you could do with it in housing, I think it's gonna end up in housing. So
Well,
this is what personally, this is where I stand. I'm sticking up with what I ordered with my vote. Troy, what do you think?
Well, I think we should stick by what we voted for.
I would say so. Veronica,
I agree.
Jim?
I also spent some time digging into this since you were here at our last meeting. And I personally have come to the decision that this board voted on a set of plans. The water department had the opportunity to give input, as did the fire department and the building department, the electrician. Everybody in town has a chance on one of these things to get their 2 cents in. And we voted, and I feel as though that should be upheld. So I'm not sure you need an order from us. You just need to take our original decisions and take it up to housing.
Well, if I may, through you, Mr. Chairman.
Before I go through you, Councilor, Richard, what do you think?
I'm fine at this moment.
Okay.
I have nothing.
Go ahead.
I thank you for your consideration, and our position is effectively what you folks are stating here tonight. You have the authority, you've given us your approval. We're looking for something a little bit more substantial, which is why we're requesting the order. If the board does,
Yes.
and if the board does not want to grant us the order, I get it. I get it. And we have other remedies that we're happy to pursue, and we're not trying to put you in a position, but we have to take certain steps before we take that next step. So that is why we were pushing for the board to vote on the order. If the board doesn't want to issue an order for us, I understand, but I'm still looking for some
The
action
order
on
to
it.
enforce our decision, you mean? I'm
The-
okay with that.
No, Mr. Chairman, in my letter, there was certain conditions that I had asked for to be included in the order.
Where? What page?
In my letter, Mr. Chairman, do you have it by
I
chance?
have the package. Which page?
I don't know what page is it. It's the third page into the set.
Okay.
I have extras if...
And which is,
So if you look at the bottom of the page, Mr. Chairman, I've outlined a bunch of things that we're asking you to include in an order. Number one, to approve the water service application that the LLC filed back in September of last year.
yep,
To approve the plans that accompanied these letters.
yep.
I have the full-size plans here, and at the last hearing, what we had said to you folks was, we've addressed all of the water department's engineers' comments in these plans, but for one, because it came after these plans had been submitted. But it's, to add what he wants is not a big deal. We're asking for you folks to authorize us to connect to the 8-inch water main in Red Brick Road. We're asking you to authorize us to extend the water service line to the edge of Cranberry Highway. As you recall, Mr. Chairman, that's what you folks voted.
Right.
Kind of split the baby in half. We brought it from the cul-de-sac to the edge of Cranberry Highway, and we expect if the water department wants to extend their system, they'll finish the work. The fifth item was to authorize the LLC to connect the 20 units to the water line as shown on the plans. Again, we're asking you to waive all connection fees. Again, I know your position on it, I gotta ask for it. And our last request was to take any and all additional steps as may be necessary to allow the permitted project to connect to the water system forthwith and to effectuate the issuance of the comprehensive permit and construction of the project. And that was basically in an order that had accompanied my letter. And that's what I'm asking for you guys to do, issue an order. Then I can go to the water department, and if they don't want to work with us with that order in hand, then I can take the next step.
All right, I feel this is what the order have to say, and this is the only way what's gonna say. The looped 8-inch water main will be installed by the applicant through the easement to the property line on Cranberry Highway. The applicant will be responsible for the rate sheet of fees published at the time of the comprehensive permit was issued, showing an amount of $42,840 on the 8-inch on Red Book Road. Water main tabs, 20 of them, 1-inch service fee tabs of $35.40. In total, cash, check, whatever, in total to satisfy the system expansion and fee requirement. No other fees shall apply. If that would suffice for you, you'll get my vote for it.
I think we're saying the same thing, Mr. Chairman, with what I'm asking for, except as it speaks to the fees. So if we're okay with the fees, if you're not amenable to that, I guess I really don't.
We can't change, that becomes a substantial change to the comprehensive permit, then we have to go a new hearing if you want to change the fees. Even if it's $1 cheaper, we're gonna go a new public hearing if you want to change it.
Understood, Mr. Chairman. If that was the order that the board wants to give us, and that's what I can get tonight, I'll take it.
And go to housing, see what
And
you
then I
can
can go
do.
to Housing Appeals if my client doesn't like it. But I need something to go to the water department and say, hey, guys, come on. And, you know,
But this is what you're gonna get. From me, anyway.
so as I understand it, you want to simplify the order to install the water line, and order the water line to be installed, to allow the applicant to install the water line and connect to the system as shown on the plans.
Yes. Now, make no mistake, you go to tap on that water and the water department stop you. That's between you and them.
I understand that, Mr. Chairman. That's part of the reason I'm asking for the order, so I have some,
It's gonna end up in housing, I know for a fact, regardless. You're gonna end up, you and them in housing.
it may, Mr. Chairman, but I'm going to try not to get there, but
No, if you could put some sense in them and work it out, that'll be even better, but
I'm hoping an order from you folks would help me get there.
in order what we granted prior, we're not waiving, I'm not waiving fees. We'll see what the member's gonna say.
If that's what I can get from the board tonight without the fees, I would take that.
All right, comments, Troy,
I agree with you.
Veronica.
Yeah, I agree. I'm willing to approve what we approved previously. I don't know what that's really gonna get you, because we already said that. They said no, and you have that under your belt.
Well, may I, Mr. Chairman? So you guys have approved it. There's no doubt you have approved it. We're not disputing that. But I think I need something stronger than an approval at this point to move it forward, and that's why I've pitched it as an order from you
So
folks.
you want it as an order. So we're basically,
Yeah, you're...
same thing, but it's an order.
Yes.
Jimmy.
I think we could wax redundant on this. To me, the bottom line is, no matter what we say, the Onset Water District, Commissioner, Department, whatever, feel as though they're a sovereign entity. They're not even part of the United States. Nobody has jurisdiction over them. They feel as though they can do as they want, where they want, when they want, and how they want, and they don't care who says what. So, you're gonna end up with HUD, with housing. That's the way I see it. Our chair has proposed something that we can all agree on and vote on. It gives you a little more teeth. If you feel the teeth will help you, fine, but frankly, I think do not pass go, do not collect $200, go right to housing.
You may be correct, but
Well, anyway,
That's my opinion.
it's always Jim makes us laugh.
Well,
That's
you
good.
know,
Richard,
Well, I don't think we have any jurisdiction in Onset, nor does Onset have any jurisdiction over Wareham. So,
Well,
all this
Right.
that we're talking about, I'm not good with it, so whatever.
right, it's gonna end up in housing anyway, so, like I said,
I'm tired
whatever we
I'm
give
tired
them.
of being asked to do something over and over and over and over again. The bottom line is, they need to deal with Onset, and that's it. If you keep coming to us saying that we did this, we did that, you put numbers down. Yes, our chairman did say at one point he gave a nominal figure on those things. I, again, don't think we have any jurisdiction to tell anybody that owns that water any price or any going forward until you get everything that they need together, and I think this whole thing would go forward. So I'm tired of being in the middle, being the kicking block. It's ridiculous. I'm not for any of this.
I have to say, it is ridiculous, but unfortunately, this is how 40B, it's very complicated, that's how it works. And that's why,
fine, that's
let
fine.
them, let them work it with them, and if it don't, let them work it with housing, it's out of
So
hand.
that's the way I feel about it.
So, how you want your motion to read?
how would I like my motion to read?
Well,
I-
who's gonna draft this letter, I guess is the question.
In the letter I submitted, I actually had the form of the order I would like. If the board, I can give you my copy.
Can we edit that?
What page, which one?
It should be right after my letter, Mr. Chairman, but I think that the order is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pages in. And I understand the board's position on the fees, and I'm not going to argue it here, but that would be, my proposed order, less the waiver of the fees is what I would ask the board board to vote for.
This 12, this order is 3 pages?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it's basically the background of what's going on and some findings. It basically recites the history.
Give us a minute, let's see, does everybody have it? No?
I have extra copies.
Can you pass it? I wanna go
Yeah.
through it quick and let everyone else read it.
Right page.
If it's in that folder,
Can you pass one to Mr. Rowley, please, if possible? Veronica, can you share with Troy? Yep. If you don't mind. Jimmy, you could share with me. He doesn't have enough.
Thank you.
so this is, yeah, yeah, yeah. Mind if I ask some questions?
Go ahead.
So on number 8 here, I'm a little bit, I don't know. I don't think, on number 8 in your letter, it said that the board held a meeting on January 12th. And well, the board voted to require the LLC to install a water line through an easement on Cranberry Highway and establish the fee. I don't believe the board established any fees.
I think that.
We enforced, I don't know,
So those are the fees that the chairman was referencing earlier on. Those are the fees that were in effect at the time of the comprehensive permit.
I get it, but they're not, those fees didn't come from us, I guess, is the, I kinda
Well, I think it was,
uncomfortable with the word established. We didn't create the fee.
based on fees in place at the time of the comprehensive permit, the onset water department's fees and
You know,
in effect at the
We're
time.
enforcing the fee
Yeah.
established by onset water
Right.
department.
Exactly.
We're not establishing it.
Sure,
That's-
I get it.
so, I know it's kind of,
We modified that
you
verbiage.
know,
I
but
get it.
All right, we're on condition number 11, I like to strike that one. Neither onset water department nor its engineer has responded regarding the approval of the plan. We don't know if they respond or not.
enough.
We want to strike number 11. We go down to number 8, waive all the water connection, we striking that. Fees, waive all the,
well, I was at number 8 over on this.
no, 8, the second page, you have the front,
Eight of,
the second page.
8 of the second
we
page.
have 2 sets of numbers.
I don't,
Because this is throughout the meeting.
Okay,
And
okay.
then on number C, waivers of all water connection fees, we're gonna strike that.
Understood.
Okay, Charlie, you have any input? No?
I don't feel that I have sufficient insight into the workings of the 40B process to really say much about this. If I was sitting on the board in some instances, it appears that you're taking over the authority of the Onset Fire District to do their work, simply authorizing the applicant to do certain work in that district. It's the way the language is. If I was sitting on your board, I think I would not be happy with saying that. But again, without knowing what jurisdictional authority is given to you over departments such as the Onset Fire District or the Wareham Fire District, I'm reluctant to say much more. It's just a personal
I
opinion.
totally understand, but 40B, everybody has a theory for it. From my experience with zoning board of appeals, when it's 40B, has the authority to give sewer connection and water connection, and has authority to waive all fees. Apparently, Onset Water Department thinks otherwise. We're not the judge here. Let housing deal with it. Like I said, even if we sign this, it's not gonna give them permit to go start digging, connect the water. They're gonna say no. They're not gonna give them permit to cut the road and connect, so they're gonna end up in housing anyway. Let them sort it out in housing. And we did our orders. We're sticking pretty much with our order, what we said before. That's pretty much what we're doing.
Well, again, like I say, I'm no authority on this. I'm not an attorney. I'm an engineer.
I'm not either.
So I'm
But I know
reluctant to say
40B is
much.
tricky.
If I were asked to look at that, I would look perhaps for support from town council on the language before I put my name to it, but that's just me.
I'm comfortable the way it is. I don't know what to say. I don't know the rest of the board, because like I said, it's not a judge order or housing chairman order, so it doesn't matter what we say. It doesn't give him authority to connect. It does give him authority, but he can't go physically connect without a real order from a judge or a housing chairman, if they disagree.
I accept what you say. I don't disagree with it at all, because I don't know. I'm
I mean,
sorry.
it's gotta end somewhere. We gotta draw the line. So he said, she said, yes, we do it, but yes, we're not. We are part of town, no, we're not part of town. They are part of town. The town collects their money. The town protects them. They're the only entity in town. I know they're independent, but
As
You
is the Wareham.
So is
Wareham and
Wareham.
Onset are both.
So can we tell the sewer department to get rid of their moratorium that they have then?
on a 40B, they have no choice if it is, but not on 40A. If a regular
Because
permit,
I
you
know
can't.
Mr. Campina has
Right, 40A, you can't
a
tell
lot
him.
of, a lot of,
He stops.
his
But in
not-
40B, let me finish.
Yeah.
In 40B, it's completely different. I've done it, I went to housing, and the answer of the chairman of the housing, telling the sewer back in there was, and back then, his name was Sean, was it Shaw? The guy, Jim Shaw. Jim Shaw, and he said, find the capacity, sorry, bye, and that's the answer. And that's how it is, unfortunately. 40B, that's how it is. It sounds brutal, but that's how it is. Unless the water department find otherwise to convince the chairman otherwise, that's fine with me, believe me. It really doesn't matter to us. We're in between of it. We can't even force the water department to connect, and we can't force them not to have the permit. So I don't know what to, other than that. We could all,
so
let me say,
basically,
we could also.
we've done our job and we're done with it, is the
We're
way I
done,
see it.
all what
I
we're
don't know why
doing,
why would we vote, why would we sign our name on anything else if we're done with it?
we iterating what we said. We can also say we're denying this, so he can bring it to housing to appeal
My
it.
vote is to deny it then.
Okay, that's perfectly fine. We'll see what the board, the rest of the board wanna do.
If I'm,
So, yes,
sorry, if I may, real quick, I just wanted to mention to the board that the reason for the request for the waiver of all fees, we do have, I'm not gonna go into it because it sounds like that's not gonna be a point that's gonna be
Right.
made anyways, but there were financial reasons why the delays from the Onset Water Department caused. We're not just asking for the waiver of the fees for no reason. We have
and I'm not
reason for
surprised
it,
when you go to
but-
housing, the housing might say, you know what, scratch all the fees for free. I'm not surprised if they do that.
I
I've
just
seen
wanted
it
to mention
happen.
that. I just wanted to mention that. I'm
I've
not
s-
asking
I
for
know,
no reason,
I
just
totally
to be
understand,
difficult,
but I've
so.
seen it happen with housing, waiving even building permit fees with other 40Bs, but that's housing, not us. So that being said, let's move to close. Motion to close, please.
I'll make a motion.
Motion to close by Veronica. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Oppose, abstain, wishes.
So, I'll go, again, for a point of discussion, I'm hearing what Rick is saying. He's saying, we voted on this. Why do we have to vote again? I get Rick's point.
Okay.
I see the applicant's point. I'm trying to see Onset's point. I'm gonna be very honest and tell you, Onset's point is the one that I'm having the hardest time seeing, and my reason for that is that when these projects come before us, every other board and entity in town is invited to advise this board, to work through this board. I think it's called a comprehensive permit. Isn't that the word they use,
Right.
comprehensive?
Yep.
Doesn't comprehensive mean that it all this is the funnel and everything gets funneled through here?
Right.
And so every board in town did have the opportunity to respond, did have the opportunity to have input, sewer department and the water department had that opportunity. What I'm observing, and maybe I'm seeing it wrong, and that's why we need another party to look, what I'm observing is there was a water department that had leadership that were on their way out, and whether they just took it lightly or looked at it and said, yeah, or just didn't care, I'm on my way out, let these guys fight it after I'm gone. I don't know what happened, but I know that this board acted, the water department had the opportunity to consult with this board and chose not to. After the board voted, the water department came to us and said, you're not the boss of me. So I feel as though the Onset Water Department wants to be challenged in court, and I think they want to find out if they are in fact, part of the United States, or if, they're cut off from the rest of us. So, I'm willing to say, yeah, we voted and we mean it, and I'm willing to say, yeah, we voted and we don't need to vote again. Whatever the rest of the board wants to do. I just feel as though
We
it's,
have, you have to vote.
it's two guys standing in the middle of the street
Right.
saying,
I know. Either we're gonna send the applicant with the no vote, denial, or a yes. He needs something to appeal.
So,
If we cannot just ignore it, it comes back hard on us, trust me.
so
so,
to be
We
clear,
could take,
to-
Richard could make a vote to deny. If he gets a second
gets-
and
Hey.
4, it's a done.
well, so our vote is whether or not we're going to give an order of enforcement.
Right,
That's what our vote would be.
right, exactly.
Okay.
and I think we should enforce what we've already voted on.
I feel like, I feel like we've made our decision, we voted, Onset Water's fighting, and I'm sorry, because makes it difficult for you, and I feel like you're coming here to have us solve your problem, but this whole issue has taken up a lot of this board's time, and at this point, I don't feel like it's our issue anymore. I feel like it's yours. I'm not prepared to sign something, just like Charlie said. This has a lot of stuff. I know what I voted on the last meeting. I don't want to revisit it again. It is what it is.
Okay, so you wanna vote a no to
I-
this? Okay,
Yeah.
I need a motion. Motion.
Okay, I make a motion to deny the request for an order by this board.
Okay, so we have a motion by Veronica deny the request of the order for 2-21
Everyone's looking at you for a
Settlers
second.
Glen, 3128, what is it?
With the number on the,
I get that. So, we have a motion to deny what they're asking, what the applicant asking for, 2-21 Settlers Glen, 3128B Cranberry Highway, map 8, lot 107C, on the comprehensive permit 40B for Red Brook Road, for the permit issue for Red Brook Road. Do I have a second on the denial?
I second.
Second by Richard, Mr. Sample. All in favor, say aye. I need you to say your name and say aye or no, but state your name, not just say aye or
Doing a
no.
roll call.
You're right. Troy Larson, what do you say? Are you for the motion or against?
I'm for the motion.
For denial?
Yep.
Veronica Debonese, are you for the motion or for denial?
I'm for the motion to deny.
To deny. And you for the motion to deny as well?
Correct.
Correct. Jimmy, are you for the
Jim
motion?
Akabachi, I also am in favor of the motion to deny.
Richard Sample, are you for the motion to deny?
I, Richard Semple, are in the motion to deny.
And myself, Nazi Al-Khalasi, and I vote against the denial. So it's 4-1-0. You get your denial, you can go to housing.
Thank you very much for your time,
Thank you
Mr.
very
Chairman.
much.
Have a good night.
All right, we're gonna move on to continued public hearing, 16-22, 2180 Boston Turnpike Associates on Fort Hill Road, Assessors Map 108, Lot 3A.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and the board. Hope you're having a good night tonight.
Thank you. Your name for the address?
John Shelby, 2180 Providence Highway.
Okay.
And last time we met, I don't have my attorney here, but it was a simple matter. We worked it out with Mr. Charlie over there. And the issue, there was 3 issues left. And Charlie will speak better on this, but him and the engineer worked it out today, that the spot grades, he wanted a couple more grades. So we're gonna hire a surveyor to come back there and just confirm what we already see there, but he wants the actual grade measured there. And I'm requesting that the board just waive that, not waive that, excuse me, make that a condition upon approval, but I'd like to have Mr.
Right.
Charlie confirm what I'm
You
saying.
do this, but that's gotta get done within the 20 days of appeal, so you have to do it within 20 days. If the board shall approves you, grant you this request, has to be done within that 20 days of appeal, otherwise it'll be lost, okay?
Correct.
So you need to go do what, if it passes, we're gonna see what Mr. Rowley gonna request, you gotta do them within 20 days
Thank you,
of
okay.
that,
Okay.
of the decision stamp. Charlie, wanna enlighten us, please, on that?
Yeah. I got the results of the soil tests, which were done on the 22nd of the month. There's nothing wrong with the soils. However, the sketch plan that came with the soils report indicated that what the engineer put on the plan was not the location of where the tests were actually done in the field. I think it was a markup that was done by the soil evaluator just to give them a rough idea where it was, but they didn't actually locate the test pits, and they did not get elevations of the soil where the tests were taken. That was one thing. And I had requested that specifically in my letter to the board back on the 13th of July. The second thing has to do with the entrance where it goes onto Tow Road. The way that it had been designed, there was going to be a high point at the gutter line of Tow Road, and it was hard for me to distinguish exactly how the gutter line was going to be conveyed or how it was going to be continued past that entrance without pushing the water out into the street. After a fairly lengthy discussion with Mr. Bailey today of Bowler Engineering, we finally decided that we could pull the gutter line to where it is now and put a high point back on the site, probably 10 feet or so that it separates the drainage out. The site is not going to contribute significant drainage to Tow Road. Tow Road is not going to impact any of the drainage calculation that was done for the site. But it does require getting some more detailed elevations in and around that area because there's a high point in Tow Road. It's very difficult to see. None of the spot elevations, which I finally saw in a plan today, were part of any of the plan that we have seen up to today. So it made it difficult for me to assess it the way I think I should. So we've agreed to that. We understand what's going on. And I think it's certainly a simple thing. They can adjust the grading right at the intersection, take care of the elevations for the test pits, and we're home free. So if both of those things are done within the 20 days, and he can get back to me with a revised plan that just shows the upgrade to the intersection, we're good.
Are you good with that?
I'm good with that, Mr. Chairman.
All right, anyone on the public want to speak in favor or against this matter? I hear none. Troy, what do you think? Are you good with this?
I'm good with it.
Veronica?
No comment.
No comment. Jimmy?
I'm fine.
Richard?
No comment.
Okay, that being said, you want to add anything before we close?
Thank you for everyone's time and effort, I appreciate it.
All right, very well. Can we get a motion to close?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Troy, all in favor, say aye.
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 Oppose,
Aye.
abstain, so it's closed. What's the wishes?
Let's make a motion to grant as, you know, with the conditions that we've already discussed and all standard conditions.
Okay, so we have a motion to grant by Jim with the condition that Mr. Rowley stated, and you have to file them within 20, or make a plan and submit it for the Mr. Rowley to review and approve within the 20 days of this decision when it's stamped by the clerk.
Correct.
If you don't, it's lost.
And
Okay.
loss means that it has to come back.
You go back from scratch.
Okay, yes.
Right.
And we're voting on a variance, right? For this
The
guy?
variance already has been granted.
Variance already been granted.
Okay.
That's the site plan special permit. Okay, so that's the motion by Jim. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Troy. All in favor, say aye.
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 Oppose
Abstain.
and abstain. So 4-0-1, it carries.
Thank you, appreciate it, Board.
Monique, you got all the language we said? Okay, very well. We're just gonna sign the decision, you put the language, we'll review it either way before you stamp it, and we look at it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
guys
Mr. Chairman,
did it.
thank you to the Board, appreciate your time.
You're very welcome. All right, and also we have 21-22 Sharon Gates on 240 Onset Ave. Just have a seat, please, for a second. Let us finish a couple of things. We'll get to you. This one was 16.
You wanna, we don't need anything on here, she's got it, right?
Rich,
We've got, no, we got, these guys are signing it. Those are the pages.
just sign your name and write abstain next to it.
Done? There we go. And I lost my paperclip, but I'm sure they'll find it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, very well. Your name and address for record,
Sharon Cates, 174 Packard Street in Plymouth.
sir? Just your name? Your name and address.
Michael Cates, 749 Head of the Bay Road, Buzzards Bay.
Okay. I did go, like I stated last time, I would check on it and review it. I did go look at your application. However, whoever, and if you did or not, you applied it wrong. You are in the Onset Village 1, you're not in Onset Village 2.
That's what they have me listed as, and when I actually put the application, I forget the guy's name I left it with, and he went down to make
How
sure.
long ago?
The day I submitted it.
That was a while ago. Downstairs, who gave you the denial letter?
The building department.
Was it Mr. Moore back then, David Moore?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's a little confusing, the area there, the way you see it in the plan, but, and there's two plans in the town, which I asked the commissioner to take it down, because they still working on the 2007 plan, and and there's a new plan issued in 2017.
When I went to them, they couldn't give me any plans. They said there was no plans of the building.
I have one, I don't know how I got it, but I have one, but anyway, bottom line, it's by right, you have the by right, so what we're gonna do, overturn the building, the commissioner decision. And I talked to it was David Moore, yeah. And so you go, and I talked to the new commissioner, and you just go get a regular building permit. You don't need a hearing. Okay?
What was that? Repeat that
You
again?
just go, you don't even need to come to us. You can have a house by right, an apartment.
Okay,
house.
so it is gonna be the multi-use? That's what it's listed as?
You already have the use of the dogs grooming or whatever.
Yes.
But you have the right to have a dwelling on that property because you have 5,200 square feet, minimum's 5,000 there. You're allowed to have single family in that location. By right, you don't need us.
You didn't
Okay.
need to come here.
You didn't need to come here,
So I wasted all my money.
Is that
unfortunately.
all your money?
It was $700 to come here because the
It's
building department
Well,
told
guess
me
what?
I
You
had
got a-
to,
you
and
got a
another.
positive you got a
You got a
positive
positive
output,
result.
you know, because it could very easily, the board say no for a variance. Troy, what do you think?
It's by right.
It's by right.
Yeah, Veronica?
If it's by right, you're asking for us to overturn the building commissioner's,
Right.
how do we do that without a map? I mean, none
are
of us
you
have
ju-
maps.
The zoning map?
Yeah.
Richard, what do you think?
Got a few maps here. If anybody
You have the
needs them.
2017, is this the one I gave you?
Well, I keep them.
Yeah.
I think we all should have zoning
Yeah,
maps.
that's the 17th.
Yep.
All right. It's hard to see on that one.
And again, I'm with the rest of the
Oh.
board so far. I mean, it's as if,
Yeah,
as of
it's
right.
not.
Right.
Mr.
I
Chair,
mean, if it's OV1,
if I may,
Yes.
when you go online, we have a town GIS, and so that's always the most recent version.
Right.
And so what I did after I spoke with you, I looked it up, and it is listed as the WV1,
One.
not the 2.
OV1,
So-
yeah.
Correct. Yeah, I feel like it might be more efficient.
Right.
than
I have a
looking.
bigger one, I could see it.
wasn't there a question about, so there's no question about
We got it.
commercial and residential?
No, she already have the permit for grooming for dogs or kennel or whatever it is. But by right, because if she had 4999, 100 square feet,
Yeah.
then she needs a variance. But because she has 5227 square feet, it meets the zoning, and so she could have a dwelling in there or an
And I have no
apartment.
problem with it. I mean, it is what it is.
So I'm OV1, not
Do
OV2.
OV1,
Okay.
yeah.
So you went for a permit, they looked, and they said, oh, you're OV2, you can't have it. And then we looked, and we said,
Without
no,
us.
you're OV1, you can have it. That's the
Somebody
bottom
changed
line.
something,
So you
yeah.
gotta-
No, I have from when I purchased it, it was OV2. All my documents from purchasing the building.
But there are a lot of things in
But
town.
it's-
that's
I'll
missing.
take it, because
You're
that's
right.
what I want, so.
But anyway, you still have to do the plans for construction, for window, all these things. that
Yeah,
has
which
nothing to
I
do
already
with us.
have. We submitted it to David Moore, and he's the one that denied it because I was
Folder
OV2.
here for us to sign.
All right, that being said, let's close.
No.
We do need to
It
sign
was
the
my
denial.
assumption that the applicant would withdraw without prejudice, so I didn't put a decision in there.
Okay,
You
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 hear
have to, yeah,
she
no,
wants to withdraw without prejudice.
you still have to sign something. And there's a building commissioner denial letter on file. If we
Yes.
don't overturn it, it'll always be there. We have to deny it. We have to, we have to overturn his decision.
You with him, Monique? You with what he's saying?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
So,
And Mr. Turner will submit a revised letter?
No, she
Even
don't need
with?
a letter.
Okay,
We just gonna overturn it, but we need a
Okay.
sheet to sign
Okay,
why
we-
we overturned it, and that's it.
okay, we don't have that tonight.
That's okay, we go sign it.
And the applicant will bring that to the building department.
Yes.
Perfect.
so do you need all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 signatures on that?
Yes,
Sorry, yes.
yes, we do. Yes, she
Okay,
does.
just so we all know that we're all gonna stop by the planning department.
You gotta give them at least a week to have that paper signed, okay?
Okay,
You
so
can't
where
just
would I
show up
go to get
tomorrow,
it?
say, oh, I want it.
Well, no,
But
I'm
you
on
could-
vacation. I won't even be back Thursday, and then you're closed
Right, but
Friday.
you
It'll
can
probably be the
start putting all
following
your
week.
things together, or your paper,
We already
your
have it all.
plans, whatever.
Have all the plans, I already submitted it, and they denied it,
You
so
could
we'll
have the
just read.
signature of conservation, water, sewer, you could make your turn, have everybody sign, fire department. So you could do all this until you get that denial letter, which it works on your favor. All right, so that being said, let's make a motion to close.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose, abstain, close. Discussion, you want to say something? No? The motion? I have a motion?
I make a motion that we overturn the building inspector's decision Because
Days, that's
based on the fact that it is actually Onset Village 2,
Onset
And-
Village 1.
One.
Onset Village 1, did I say 2?
Yes, you did. And it was too, and that's why we were here.
And no variance is needed.
We'll send you
That's why
back into the loop. So no variance is needed, correct?
Right, that's the basis of our denial. You get that, Monique? Okay,
Yes.
do I have a second on Jim's motion?
I second.
Second by Richard, all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, oppose, abstain, it carries. Thank you, you good?
So which department would I go to pick it up, from the planning board?
Oh, yeah. But you,
Yep, so I'll send you an email when everybody has signed. That way you don't have to come back and forth,
Okay,
okay?
okay?
yep. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Okay.
Have a good night.
So which one is? Now, we're gonna go public hearing, 23-22 John Keaton on 18 Highland Road. Just give us a minute, Counselor, to get our files up.
Would this needs to be read in? Here we go, 1, 2, here you go. 1, 2, here you go. Here you go, Rich. The zoning board of appeals will hold a public hearing on July 27th, 2022 at 6:30 PM in room 320 of the Wareham Multi-Service Center, 48 Marion Road, Wareham, Mass. 02571. To consider petition number 23-22 for a special permit and variance from the requirements of Article 6, Table 622, Article 3, Table 320, and Article 13, Section 1360, under the Wareham zoning bylaws to John F. Keating Jr., care of Dennis J. Conroy, Esquire, of 245 Main Street, Wareham, Mass., proposing to create a fourth dwelling on the property by converting the detached garage into a second principal residential structure located at 18 Highland Road, number 3, Wareham, Mass. That appears on Assessors Map 61, Lot 1140, in the Wareham Village 2 zoning district.
All right, Counselor?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, my name is Dennis Conry. My office is located at 245 Main Street, Wareham. I'm appearing tonight in behalf of and with John Keating Jr. He's seated in the second row. Mr. Keating is before the board tonight asking the board to grant him a special permit and variance as required by the zoning bylaw to convert an existing structure at 18 Highland Road, which now serves as a garage and recreation room, to a new use as a second principal residential structure. Mr. Keating has owned the property at 18 Highland Road, consisting of a three-family residence, since purchasing the property from his father, John Keating Sr., in 1986. Mr. Keating now lives on the third floor of the property with his two adult children, one of whom is with him here tonight. The apartments on the first and second floors of the main house are rented to year-round tenants who've been tenants for 7 years. There has been located in the rear of the property, since Mr. Keating purchased it in 1986, a structure that was originally built as a four-car garage. In 2003, Mr. Keating applied to the building inspector for permission to convert the four-car garage to a fourth living unit on the premises to be located entirely within the four-car garage structure. In 2003, the property was located in what was then identified as zoning district MR 30, which at the time required 30,000 square feet of area and 150 feet of frontage for the construction of even one single-family residence to be built on the property. Because of the requirements of the zoning district MR in force at the time, the building inspector denied Mr. Keating's application to construct the fourth residential unit on the parcel within the four-car garage. However, the building department did allow Mr. Keating to convert two of the four garage bays to a recreation room, which allowed Mr. Keating to install a bathroom containing a sink, toilet, and bathtub in half of the garage structure. At that time, the garage building was connected to the Wareham Town Sewer, and electric service was also brought to the building. The main reason for the recreation room was to create, or to allow Mr. Keating to visit with his young children who have now become adults. Although the garage recreation room is connected to the town sewer and the electrical grid, due to the limitations on the use of the building, it has fallen into disuse and is now used only to store miscellaneous personal property. In 2004, the zoning designation for 18 Highland Road was changed from MR 30 to Wareham Village 2. The table of principal uses, section 320 of the zoning bylaw, states that 3 to 4 family dwelling is permitted in existing structures upon issuance of a special permit by the Zoning Board of Appeals. Article 6 of the zoning bylaw provides that the first dwelling unit in Wareham Village 2 requires 15,000 square feet, and each additional dwelling unit requires an additional 2,000 square feet. Therefore, under the dimensional requirements of the zoning bylaw, 21,000 square feet is required to increase the number of dwelling units on the property from 3, as it currently exists, to 4. Mr. Keating has no intention of expanding the size or height of the existing structure. Mr. Keating's sole request is to convert the existing structure to residential use, which use appears to be now consistent with the intent of the Wareham zoning bylaw. And then on the last, to specify what Mr. Keating is looking for, at least after my review of the zoning bylaw and after my review of the building inspector or the zoning commissioner's opinion letter of last fall, Mr. Requena, it appears that Mr. Keating will need, and he hereby requests, that this board issue a special permit provided under Article 3, Section 320, for the construction of a fourth residential unit in the existing structure, which, as stated, is currently a garage, half a garage and half a recreation room. Number 2, he'll also need a dimensional variance to permit the construction of a fourth residential unit on the lot, which contains less than the required area. And then issue any, there's some question that he may need a variance or a special permit to convert a garage into an additional residential unit. That's the position that David Requena took. I'm not sure of the basis of it, but it's actually half a garage and half a recreation room. So that's the extent of what Mr. Keating is looking for. It seems to me to be consistent with the town's intent, which is, I think, to develop housing, and although it's only one housing unit, it can be accomplished without any impact, any significant impact on the environment. The building is up. He's not going to change the building at all. It's got town sewer to it, so he's not going to need a septic system or, and it puts to use a building that is not being used, and we have a shortage of housing in this town, and it looks like in this particular area of town, in particular, the zoning was changed, and as a result of that change in zoning, a good deal of residential housing has been built or is in the process of being built. So it seems to be consistent with the neighborhood, doesn't have any environmental impact that I can identify. So I would ask the board to consider granting the relief that we're requesting. And if you have any questions of me or Mr. Keating, be happy to try to answer.
All right. The Wareham Village 2 zoning's 15,000, one or two family. So you need 75 feet of frontage, 15,000 square feet to build one or two units. In this particular parcel, you have 14,710, and you already have 3 units. What would be the hardship to grant a fourth unit? I don't see the hardship for a fourth unit.
It's a structure that he can't use to any significant degree. It's this is in an existing structure, we're not going to build a structure, so I think it might be I think your point would be definitely more to the point if there was no structure there and he was asking to look to build a new building as opposed to use a building that he's there that's currently on the site. It's already built and it's in disuse, and it can be put to a better use and to help the town meet its housing demands, and to give him an opportunity. His daughter and son, who are both living with him now, they're 28, 21, and 22. He lives on the top floor of a 3-story building, and he would like to be able to put his son or his daughter in this property. And they're growing up, and they need a place to live, and he sees that. He got this building in the backyard. He can handle the finances of it and find a place for one of his children to live. It's a very modest building. It's a 1-bedroom, or it would be a 1-bedroom, so
I totally understand the need of living spaces and stuff, but they already 1 unit ahead of the game there. So by right, they'll be allowed 2 units. They already have 3.
It's a three-decker. I don't know if you're familiar with the house.
Yeah, I know the house.
I suspect
There's already 3 units, but by right, it's only allowed 2 there, by right. So now they have 3, now we want to add 4. It is a variance with the special permit. So I'll pass it to the board, see what they think, what's their input. It's still, I mean, your determination of a hardship is not really what's the statute called for on chapter 40A. On the chapter 40A, section 17, that's not really the hardship.
Well,
It's
when-
not the statute. You have to meet that 5 tests, the 4 tests. It doesn't really meet the test to grant a fourth unit.
He's paying taxes on the building and he can't use it.
The Counselor, you know that's not a hardship. Me and you know it's not a hardship.
Well,
Regardless, let me hear from the board before we go into that detail. Troy, what do you think?
I have no comment right now.
Veronica?
I agree, actually, Nazir, with what you're saying about the fact that 2 are by right, there's already 3 existing. There's no structure change, so that is a plus. I'm not sure that we have a hardship, though.
Jimmy?
right, there is not a hardship, but in the same token, is it a hardship on the neighborhood? I'm looking at this huge crowd in here in opposition.
We'll get to the public to see.
And, yeah, and, you know, if the whole neighborhood was coming and saying, no, don't do it, it would be a slam dunk, no. But they're not, again, they're not building anything new, they're just, it's really a change of use. So I'd have a tendency to show some leniency, and it's kind of a lot of leniency, and jam another unit in there, and it's in an area, it's in a part of town that, and they're not gonna put any cars on the street. They've got enough room to get everybody parked off-street.
If that's your wishes.
So, that's just, I'm saying, I'd be willing to show some leniency, I guess.
If I can interrupt for a second, just
No,
from.
let me hear
okay,
Richard first.
okay.
Richard.
Well, it does look like there needs to be some work done on the building for the neighborhood, number one. And it would be nice to be able to work it up, but again, the hardship on my end, I mean, I'd love to be able to pop apartments and buildings, make everything living for everybody, but that's not exactly how it goes, so. I'm kinda with the fact that I don't really feel that there's a hardship, but we'll see how the rest of the board feels.
All right, anyone on the public or online want to speak in favor of this project? I hear none. Anyone against? All right, we go back to you, Counselor.
Well, under the statute, it looks to me, looking at it, is they're encouraging this type of development. And the minimum lot size is 15,000 square feet for the first unit. And
One
then
or two.
then only 2,000 square feet for each additional unit.
Right.
So the building inspector said that you would need 21,000 square feet to be able to build this by right.
Right.
And to me, the benefit outweighs the detriment here. I don't see any detriment other than adherence to the letter of the law. And, you know, when someone isn't able to use or develop their property, it certainly feels like a hardship to them. And, you know, this, as Mr. Semple pointed out, this building needs some work. And if he can build a residential unit in there, he's going to make it look nice. And because he's going to want to attract people. So that's, the human nature is to improve our property, especially where it's not going to be detrimental to the neighborhood. We're not trying to wedge another house in here, or another building, or build an ugly building. I mean, how many times have we seen somebody, you know, wants to look at the size of the houses that are being built in Onset, you know, and the neighbors, this isn't going to be anything like that. This is going to go in, nobody's even going to know it's there. And the town is going to be able to generate significant more income from it if it's a rental property. Mr. Keating is going to realize some significant benefit. His daughter is going to be able to find a place to live out, and you know, it seems like a case that should work. And you know, the definition of hardship is, you know, the courts have gone through that and twisted and turned, and it seems to me that if somebody makes a case, at least this is my experience, makes a case that this is going to benefit the community and benefit a homeowner, boards tend to find a way to make it happen, and to say yes. And I know this board has been extremely receptive to pleas like that, to try to help the taxpayers, and especially when no one is going to no one is going to be hurt by this. Nobody showed up, everybody got notice. The existing home, I don't know when that was built. It looks like it was probably built in the 1930s, the three-story house. And it's well kept, and if Mr. Keating gets this, it'll be well taken care of. Right. It's only one little one-bedroom apartment.
If I may, Mr. Green?
Yeah, go ahead.
If, I hear that we were trying to create more housing, but I also hear that he's talking about keeping a family member in there. Is there any way through the board that if it's just kept as family members, it become a residential, or is it just whatever it is?
Once you grant it, it's gone.
All right, so.
The existing, I was just looking at the field card here. So there are 9+ bedrooms already in the, so there's 3 or more bedrooms in each of those apartments right now.
That's inaccurate. They were, I'm told that they were built as 2-bedroom apartments, and there's only 2 parties living on the first and second floor, and Mr. Keating, the top floor is a larger, and they've converted a dining room or something to a 3rd bedroom because Mr. Keating and his 2 adult kids are living there now. So and there's only 3 cars. Well, I don't think the parking's an issue here, but
Well, I see where Veronica's going, Mr. Desmondese is going. If it's 3 threes and you add another one, that's 10 bedrooms, and that's gonna kick in parking spaces and all that. Is there anything restricting those 3 units from being 3 bedrooms? Is there any, the field card says they're 3 threes?
It says 9+
9+.
bedrooms, and there are 16 rooms. So if you have a living room and a kitchen for each one, that makes sense, if there's 16 total rooms.
He still have enough parking, yeah, I'll hear it. You could sit down here for a minute. Even if it's 3-bedroom, the bylaw requires 2 cars, even if it's 3 or 4.
Right.
He's got plenty of parking. It just, the issue, I don't see the hardship to create a 3rd dwelling in there. And the hardship cannot be financial. It has to be with the soil, topography, shape of the lot. And I don't see a hardship to grant one in that neighborhood. And what we're gonna do, if everybody comes in there, I don't have a problem granting one if you have the square footage with the special permit. And everybody coming in there and they want to turn their garage to a unit. Then what do you do? It's definitely degrade from the intention of the bylaw. And that's one strong hardship that you can't prove.
well, I submit, the statute, and I don't have a copy of it here, does reference the building, you know, on the premises. It's been, it's not just the shape and the topography and the, you know, if there is a building on the premises, you know, that can be interpreted as a hardship.
That's
if you
the uniqueness.
Yes.
That's part
Oh,
of the test, the
right.
uniqueness,
Oh,
which you pass that.
Okay,
You
okay.
pass the non-detrimental,
yeah,
it's
you're
not
right.
detrimental to the neighborhood, you do pass that. It might not derogate from the intention of the bylaw, but the hardship is not there.
It can be, it's financial or otherwise. It doesn't exclude a financial hardship,
Right,
Mr. Chairman.
exclude financial hardship, Counselor, if the shape of the lot or the topography or the soil dictate it for you, that you put a certain structure, a certain place, you have a perfect lot, there's no shape issue, there's no soil, there's no topography problem, that you don't have a railroad track going in the middle that dictates for you to create another lot, so there's no really hardship for that.
If he can't use his property
He can use it.
for-
He's using it.
in a reasonable manner. You know, I think that it, being prevented from using that lot in a reasonable manner, that's why this board is given a lot of discretion to make determinations.
Right.
And I think you said that financial hardship isn't enough. I think, you know, the tendency is to mix the first two conditions together, but they stand alone. The shape and the topography, that's all about the unique nature of the property. The second step that we've got to get over is financial, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's financial or otherwise, due to any circumstance that I think that he can't, but if he cannot use property in a reasonable manner, use his property in a reasonable manner, if he's not allowed to convert this building that he really can't use now, 'cause, and it just sits there, I submit that does constitute a financial hardship.
No, the financial hardship, it's like if you have to build the bridge to access it, that's a financial hardship.
That's an extreme case.
No, in any the hardship when to create a building or I mean, we could argue it all night.
Well, yeah.
Let's see what Mr. Keaton has to say. You name another.
Yeah, hi, John Keating, 18 Highland Road. I'd like to clear up the bedroom thing. Those are two-bedroom apartments with living rooms and dining rooms.
I mean, 2 or 3, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
You have
I just
the
wanted to clear-
bylaw is on your side with this matter.
For me, the building I just can't use, it just collects junk. Back in 2000, 20 years ago, they did allow me to use half of it, finish half of it, and the other two, the reason why I did that at the time is I was living in another location, I had my 2 young kids, when I went over there to maintain the property and
So
things like
what's
that.
in that building now, a bathroom?
Nothing. There's a bathroom. There are 2 rooms on one side, one smaller than the other. The bathroom, the heating system is in there, and then 400 square feet is just
Bathroom
junk.
connected to sewer and everything?
Yeah, yeah.
You got water and everything?
Yeah, got everything. Panel, everything, yeah. Insulated, it was all inspected 20 years ago.
Is it like a 4-car garage that you got 2 cars and 2 were eliminated?
Originally, it was a 4-car garage, yeah, and then I eliminated I took 400 square feet and finished it, put the
Took half
bathroom
of
in.
it and put it into a playroom for the family.
Yeah, and a place that we could go that was heated and everything like that while I was over there. At the time, I was living over at Summer Street. But it just will deteriorate. I can't do anything with it now.
Parked cars in it.
No, there's junk in the 2 sides. The first thing I'd have to do is clear all the junk out. We've always parked the cars outside in the area that you saw.
Well, you can put the junk outside and put the cars inside.
Yeah, well, I guess. We've never
There is a
I've never
picture,
parked cars
there's a
in there.
picture of the building that was submitted with our package.
Yeah, we saw that.
You know, and so it's going to continue to deteriorate, and I submit that if you can't fix it up,
He can
To
fix
me,
it for a nice garage and a nice playroom the way it is.
Garages just accumulate junk when you have tenants sometimes, and that's what happens. It just
But
gets.
this is
I
our,
have to
this is,
pull it I have to.
this
I-
is what
I
I
have a
wanna
two-car
get
gar-
to when we have tenants.
I have a
This is the
2-car
thing.
garage full of stuff, and I can't get my cars into either one of them, so I know the story of garages.
Right, so now, how many tenants you have there?
I have two tenants, first and second floor, and then I live up on the 3rd floor with my family.
Most landlords live on the 1st floor and put everybody else climbing the stairs.
So we're
Oh,
gonna
my-
have 3 tenants.
These aren't getting any better as I get older, so I don't know, maybe there are changes to be made.
Maybe you
It's
go
a,
up
it's a
back.
climb, I go up the stairs, yeah.
So we're gonna have 3 tenants now, and you're occupying one.
Yes.
So here's your hardship. Your knees are giving out, and you need to move into the garage and put a tenant in the 3rd floor because you can't get up the stairs anymore.
That's not a hardship.
I'm joking. But,
All right,
like I
why
said,
don't we sleep on it?
Yeah.
I wanna make a visit to the property myself. You
Let
guys agree?
Let them,
Yeah.
let them ponder the hardship, and maybe they can come back with a compelling argument. Maybe everybody will have a good couple of weeks and come back with soft hearts, who knows? Maybe I'll harden.
All right, before we continue.
Do we have a
anything
date?
Would you like to add, Counselor?
I'm sorry?
You'd like to add anything before we can?
I've said my piece for tonight. Everybody's probably getting tired, and,
And we continue and reconsider this matter at our next scheduled meeting.
August 10, you will not be notified, so just show up that date, and if somebody listening online, there will be no green card sent, and no certified mail sent. You just have to show up on August 10 if you want to hear that matter. Okay, so we have a motion by Jim to continue until August 10. Do I have a second?
I second.
Second by Richard. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Oppose, abstain. So we'll see you on August 10. And I advise everybody drive by it. All right, very well.
Thank you.
Thank you. 24-22, Sandra Stowe, 9 Beach Plum Lane.
Do we have anything from that last one to put in the folder?
Yeah, let's put everything back together because we're gonna revisit next time.
Is that the same folder? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's it.
No, that's
Oh,
Bowler.
that's Bowler, okay.
That's for the car wash. That's Settlers Glen.
So what do we get?
That's it, that's Settlers Glen. You don't need that.
All right.
All right. Just give us a minute, Mr. Lockwood, just a second.
So 18 Highland, we continued. Going for Sandra M. Stowe, huh?
Yeah.
2422. I never sent that letter that we're supposed to do the board report either. I don't know what made me think of that. What's that? Here's a couple of these. There's a couple that go going this way. Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on July 27th, 2022, at 6:30 PM in room 320 of the Wareham Multi-Service Center, 48 Marion Road, Wareham, Mass. 02571, to consider petition number 24-22 for a variance from the requirements of Article 6, Table 620, under the Wareham zoning bylaws to Sandra M. Stowe, care of William H. Lockwood, registered architect of Lockwood Architects of Onset, Mass., proposing to construct 120 square feet, one-story addition off the residential structure located at 9 Beach Plum Lane, Wareham, Mass. That appears on Assessors Map 28, Lot M4B and M5 in the R60 zoning district.
All right, name and address, Mr. Lockwood.
Bill Lockwood, Lockwood Architects. My office is located at 219 Onset Avenue.
All right, let's hear it.
Okay, we're here to see about constructing a one-story, 120-square-foot addition to the existing cottage on Beach Plum Lane, which is next to Little Harbor Beach area. It's an R60 residential zone. The parcel is a little over 10,000 square feet, so relatively small for that neighborhood. It is partially in the flood zone, and so we're locating the addition on the upwards, landward side of from the flood zone, landward side of the building. The addition will be used as a study for her to work out of the building, and I apologize. Ms. Stowe is not feeling well this evening, so she's not able to attend the hearing. We're we're looking for relief from side lot side setbacks. I believe the
What zoning is there, R60?
it's R60, but it's but it would be a small lot exemption, I believe, so I believe we'd be dealing with a 10-foot as opposed to the 20-foot that the building commissioner says. And right now, the existing setback is about 7.5 feet. We'd be looking to reduce that to 6 feet. And that's really an unusual situation where we have this Lot 4B, which is kind of this bump off the side of the principal lot, and we're actually talking about the setback from a corner, an impinging corner, which makes it a fairly unique situation, and as a condition of the lot shape that we're dealing with. You do have a building plan in one pocket, and you have a service.
Through you.
Go ahead.
This house, if I was at Little Harbor Beach.
If you're at the beach.
I was at the beach, and I was facing the water, and I looked over to my left. This would be the first waterfront house on my left after the parking lot and the beach.
Yes, yes it would.
And which side of the house are they adding on to? The side coming towards the parking lot or the side going away from the parking lot?
Neither one.
Back, front, the water side?
The opposite the water side, towards the line of houses.
East side of the house?
It would be the north side of the house.
North, okay.
There's I believe, do we have an aerial picture in here?
I'm getting it. I'm just trying to get it in my head, that's all.
Yep.
And,
Mr. Lockwood, in your plans, you're saying the front setback is 20-foot minimum, and R60 is 60 foot, 60 feet.
What?
And
Side setback?
Front.
Front.
Your plans showing 20, it says 20-foot minimum. That should be 60.
I think this lot qualifies for a small lot exemption.
So you're saying an existing non-conforming?
Well, there's a...
Right, but if
614, is it, or 6...
Right, the front, I understand, but it's a it's probably a typo. It should say 60, not 20. You know, but that's fine, because you're not changing the frontage, right?
We're not discussing that, and I don't know, if we have a zoning code, we could look it up, I suppose, but I don't have mine with me.
Okay, so, but you have, I guess it's non-conforming right now because you have 10 feet, 10 plus front.
Right now, we're at 7.5 feet.
Yeah.
So we're...
What is the 7.5?
Right now, the place where we're proposing the addition is almost entirely covered by...
right now, it's decked, and
it's a deck, and we're basically taking away the deck and putting a full building there. So it effectively does not change the percentage of lot coverage, even though that's not a requirement in that zone.
So you pretty much add in a foot or 1.5 feet, that's it?
Yeah.
Past the deck?
Yeah, we're going past the deck, maybe 1.5 feet, yeah.
All right.
So...
What do you think?
So,
Go ahead.
What's this M4B? It's a separate, but it's combined, right? M4B and M5 are combined into one lot.
They are a combined lot by statute.
They couldn't be separated.
By statute, yeah. The M4B was acquired subsequent to the principal parcel.
So the
and
deck
I
right
don't know
now,
how
the deck
or why.
right now in round numbers is 7 feet from the corner, and you're gonna be 6 feet from the corner.
Correct.
But I move over 6 inches, and now I add 8 feet because it jogs out.
Correct.
So
yeah,
how much of that structure is gonna be 6 feet from a foot, 2 feet? If I start at the...
Yeah, if you swung a radius, probably you'd pick up a couple of feet in each direction on the corner.
Well, I personally don't have a problem with it.
I think
mean,
it's, yeah, I
it's
think
fine.
it's,
Troy, what do you think?
I'm fine. I don't have a problem with
Veronica,
I don't have a problem with it.
Jimmy?
let's just go home, say yes.
Richard?
I'm good the way it's presented.
All right, on the public or online, anyone want to speak in favor of this project or against? I hear none. Mr. Lockwood, before we close, you want to say anything?
Thank you all for your attention, and I applaud your decision.
All right. Can we
Even
get a
though we
motion
haven't
to
made it.
close?
I make a motion to close the public portion of this hearing.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Troy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose, abstain?
I do have a question, though.
Yeah, go ahead, we could discuss.
If this is a pre-existing non-conforming, why is the commissioner say it needs a variance?
It needs a, well, he missed section 13. Who wrote the letter? 1352?
This is Palmer, I believe.
Paul?
Turner?
Right,
Turner, rather.
yeah,
So is the
he's
deck-
our
the
new
deck is
commissioner, he's not
considered-
familiar with all the bylaws. We can,
I guess my question would be, the deck
I
is
know.
considered the permanent structure, so
I know what you get
That-
into. The section 1352 or 55, I believe, if the board shall find it not so detrimental, we could act upon it as a special permit.
Is that what you're going at?
And then we could act,
no,
because it's
special
existing.
permit because it's existing. If this, so does the deck act as another part of the house? That would be
Of
my
course it
question.
does.
So it's a
Right.
permanent
This-
structure.
Right,
So
existing
this
non-conforming, yeah.
wouldn't be a variance.
No.
Right, but that's what before us. So,
It doesn't say variance or, it says variance
It's
so
variance.
on the
if
public
the,
notice.
I know it's easier to grant a special permit, but if we're gonna, if it's gotta get done, we gotta overturn his decision and he gotta come back. I would recommend we just grant the variance. If somebody appeals it, it dies in the water, but I guess he doesn't wanna come back and reapply.
But he has a deck
As a deck, it's a variance,
that is 7 feet from the property line.
Right.
right, existing.
Even if it were 10, the requirement, and not the 20 that's in this letter, it would be a pre-existing non-conforming, which would be a special permit, not a variance, if it's
Right.
not detrimental.
Right, but it's not what before us, the commissioner did not insert that section, I think 1352. Is it Monique, 1352?
Honestly,
Oh,
I'm
you-
sorry.
you
I don't know. I'm
you don't know
thinking
which
that
one.
since it's a single family, that it's under Diedrich.
Let's act on it as a variance, how does the board feel? I mean, if you don't get a variance, you can always come back with this 1352.
We don't get it.
Somebody would like to make a motion on just the variance?
I make a motion to grant the variance,
As
grant
presented.
relief as requested.
I have a motion to grant the variance by Jim, do I have a second?
I second.
Second by Richard, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Oppose, abstain. 500, you get the variance.
Thank you all.
For future reference, like I said, Mr. Turner, very smart guy, but he has so much work to do. He's still not too familiar with our bylaws.
Understood.
I'll discuss with him, and we go from there.
And thank you for
Thank you.
that piece of education.
Does the board want to discuss anything before we
We got,
adjourn?
I think we got something here that Monique wants to go over with us, I'm not sure.
All right, Monique, what do you got?
Oh, sorry. Are we on
That's all
Article
right.
6?
And did you have anybody from the, on Zoom that is briefed?
No one's been on Zoom.
Okay.
Good.
Are we on Article 6 right now?
Thank you.
honey?
Are we talking Article 6 right now?
Whatever you have for us, you have.
All right. So, before you, you should have received, oh, you know what? I'm sorry, let me pass this out.
This is the little addition we just did. This is the little addition we just did, Naz.
What's the address on the other one, 18 Highland?
The last one?
I like this one.
Somehow, oh, you gave me a pen back. Thank you, sir. Sure. I need you on this, and I need Rich. Oh, there you go. I need to stretch my legs. Quickly get up the first time.
Alrighty, Mr. Chair. So, before you,
Yep.
you should have 3 papers. The first one should be the response from the planning board to the zoning board of appeals, to you guys. And then the previous, or so under that response from planning was a memo that or 2 memos that I sent the planning board regarding, you know, our last meeting, the changes that you wanted to make. And I thought that the response from the planning board did a pretty good job of summarizing, you know, how they felt about your changes, your proposed changes. If you have any specific questions, I'm happy to.
Yeah, on the lot shape, the 30 feet, is this what they proposing? 615? Do you know what's 615? Charlie, you aware of this? The lot shape factor?
There's nothing that they're proposing be changed except for they're adding numerically 30 feet.
Okay.
That's it. And
The
you guys.
word, they're just adding
Okay,
the
okay.
number 30.
Correct, and you guys have already approved that change. And I'm happy to do like a walkthrough if that's even more
So
helpful.
basically, what we went over during the last meeting, you brought to planning, and planning said,
And they
yeah,
said,
sure,
they said, yes, sure, except,
except,
their response to you guys. Let me just briefly like go through it. So, from the top, on the first page, so 610
Yeah.
through 620. The only change was on 615, that 30. You guys already said yes, you want that.
Yes.
614 also, I believe we're changing it from distance to distant. You already approved that.
Yep.
620. The only change that they made was they appreciated your, you know, sentiments regarding the fact that number 3 was extremely difficult and complicated to read. Therefore, they decided to compromise and put or more attached residential dwelling units. They kept other residential use instead of taking your suggestion to change that as well as in the table, because they felt that, you know, other residential use is, other articles are filled with that language, and they wanted to, the point of this warrant article was to increase the readability, and so if we're changing it to something different now, that's confusing to people. So they felt that that was a more substantial change that should be addressed at a later date, but they came to a compromise with you guys on that one.
Okay.
Section 623 is the next.
we skipped over 22.
21.
All right, so 21, you guys already accepted all of those.
Right, all the dashes versus NA and R.
Correct.
Okay.
You guys
Okay,
approved
okay.
those. Section 622, in that table, you also approved that.
On 622, the 5,000 plus B, bed and breakfast, 10,000 bed and breakfast, 10,000, oh, okay. So they adding bed and breakfast to the village and Onset Village, Wareham Village and Onset?
Let me see.
On 622.
622.
Is that, well, actually, this language has been there,
No,
right?
it's there already.
Oh, okay,
Is
never
that
mind.
highlighted?
Never mind.
Do you see that?
My bad,
Okay.
my bad.
Okay, great. So 622,
Yeah,
the only change was for the building coverage, other residential use and non-residential use. You guys already approved that one.
yeah.
Section 623, they wanted to note that this table does look different than what is currently in the bylaw. You guys asked, you know, which version of the bylaw they're using. They're using the latest one. That was a point of I guess, confusion for even them, because nobody has the most recent bylaw printed. Everyone's working off of different bylaws. I think it's the same with us. So, you know, staff is working to get you guys updated bylaws. But they recommended including columns for CN, neighborhood commercial, and CP. They added them to this table as placeholders. Those zoning districts are referred to in Article 2 zoning districts, 211.3 commercial districts. There are no such districts currently on the zoning map, but there's a possibility of future zoning revisions which could change that. So they made it more consistent.
Okay.
Additionally, they changed other residential use to for each additional dwelling. Following the discussion on the recommendation.
Underneath what area on that page?
623.
Can you still bring something to them, recommend something?
Of course we can,
All
yes.
right. And on the general commercial,
Okay, wait. On 623,
Yeah.
general commercial.
yeah, they saying for the first, on the mixed use, and right now, if you have general commercial law, and you put an insurance agency in the front, say you have 20,000 square
We
feet.
talked about this last time.
You could add, the way this bylaw reads, you put a insurance agency in the front, and then you have one unit and 1,000 feet for each additional. You could put 15 apartment on a 20,000 square feet lot. I think that's crazy.
They understood that. I put that in the memo, that, you know, all the different ideas that you guys were talking about, all of your grievances with the bylaw. However, it's outside of the scope of the warrant article.
Okay.
So once, you know,
Believe me, I like it, but that's, when, the problem is when you approach them with a plan like this, everybody gonna panic. But it is
Yes.
what it is.
We
If they
think
wanna keep it, that's
they
fine.
are absolutely amendable to having a joint hearing, so, you know, to discuss more substantial changes. But it was brought up, yes.
Okay.
All right.
You started to say something about the other residential use line.
Yes, we left it alone. I know that you guys in all of the sections wanted to write or remove it, I think.
I would like to change it to three-family or more, but anyway.
Right, so that just, you know, that change is just consistent with.
They're not changing that either?
They're not changing that, correct.
This is a problem. That's a
Well, that's why we're
problem.
gonna have a joint meeting,
This is absolutely a problem.
and we're gonna wear brass knuckles.
This is leaving it outside
They'll
for,
agree or they'll go home bleeding.
I mean, this is crazy.
For the same
You leave it-
reason.
Yeah, for the same reason. Now you get a commercial lot. If it's 45,000 square feet, okay,
Right.
I want to make a perfect example. And, okay, and if they acknowledging this, we cannot, because last applicant
They
came, they acknowledging that's what they want. Last applicant came, we insisted that it's a typo. So now, if somebody comes on Cranberry Highway with strip commercial with 30,000 square feet lot, he could do one unit. With 45,000 square feet lot, he could do 2 units. With 20,000 square feet lot, pay attention, he could do 10 units. That's crazy. And if that goes to court, the applicant will win. If it must say each additional residential use or 3 or more for each additional 20,000. You can't say other residential 20,000. It's up for grab. It's gonna cause big problems. And now it's in the open, believe me, everybody's listening, so everybody's gonna open their eyes on it, and you're gonna have application left and right. Now that's acknowledged by the planning board saying they okay with it.
I think the point the planning board would like to make is that they're not disputing that it should not be changed, is that it's outside of the scope of this warrant article at this particular point.
Okay.
But they're open to meeting with you guys.
We're gonna go there on the 8th. definitely. That's very important.
Okay.
So
So,
for the record, I think it's important that the planning board didn't go on record of saying that they feel as what's written here is correct. They just feel as though this is the incorrect opportunity to correct it.
So say
For the
that
record,
again, Jimmy.
I just don't, wa-
Say, they say it.
for the
so-
record,
Yeah.
the planning board
Well-
isn't saying they think, they disagree with our interpretation. They're not
Exactly.
disagreeing with our interpretation.
Ah, okay.
They're saying, this isn't the mechanism to change it.
they're saying that the purpose and intent of the warrant article is just to make things consistent with the rest of the articles. And so if we change something now, it's becoming inconsistent. It's decreasing the readability. So right now, the priority, and I think with the time that we have, the idea was to, grab a low-hanging fruit article, try and clean it up, make it consistent, and in the future address with you more substantial
Problems
changes.
like this, yeah.
Correct, exactly.
Let me make a small example. It's no secret, everybody knows I own that dealership in West Wareham, Supreme Motor Corps. So right now, the way it sits, I have like 60, 70,000 square feet. I could go in the back of that dealership and put 5 apartments, 5 townhouses, the way this bylaw reads. By right, special, oh yeah, so it's only
By
site
right,
plan.
by interpretation.
Right, and with a special permit, no variance, nothing. Or actually, I could jam as much as I can, as long as I get a septic to support them. I could put 10, 20, 30 units. That's what the bylaw says. That's the other residential use saying. This is it needs to be addressed immediately. That's priority.
So are we able to schedule some kind of a meeting or
So-
request?
So, the
I hope somebody's listening from the planning board.
the best
Monique is here.
Yes. So, they did not close the public portion of this. Nobody showed up from the public. They continued the article,
August
vote
8th, right?
to,
In
correct,
August 8th?
to
We will,
happen
I will be there.
August
I wish
8th.
everybody would show up. It's very important that we change this bylaw, believe me. I love it. It's a developer dream. That's
Well-
crazy, though.
We don't even really need to change it if we need to correct the wording so that the interpretation isn't so disputable or arguable.
Right. It should say for each
And I think
additional
that-
unit.
And then, that said, it does fall within the purview of this pass because the intention was to make this thing more readable.
Right, I
And-
agree with that.
And as you read this, you got 2 lawyers, each charging $300 an hour, never wanting this case to end.
Right, exactly right.
okay.
One of the other reasons they wanted was that there were other sections that had that same language of other residential use. And it meant going into every one of those other sections.
They
to
want to
do
go
same
through the
thing.
whole
No, they
150
They simply
pages.
said to go through it in that detail was not what they were doing initially. Not that they were opposed to doing it, they just, at this point, they're trying to pick it apart a little at a time. But if they've got it open on the 8th, absolutely. And then you could take on these other ones. For example, it's in 621 also. And for the R130, R60, R43, R30, and MR30 districts.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. I mean, they've got a
Take it
point
out
that
there.
it's throughout the whole,
Gotta start somewhere.
and if,
So we're gonna set a date to be there,
August
the 8th,
August 8th?
at their meeting, we're gonna go, we're gonna,
6 p.m. 6
Time's the
p.m.
meeting?
we're gonna do a coup on their
6.
meeting, and we're gonna take over the meeting.
What time's the meeting?
6
Same
6
time
p.m.
as us, 6 o'clock, 6 or 6:30?
Not 6:30, 6
6?
p.m.
Oh,
6
they're
p.m.
early birds. Okay. And you can tell them we're bringing baseball bats and Molotov
Thought you said
cocktails.
brass knuckles.
Brass knuckles are, that's already a,
Pick
you
your
know.
weapon.
Is that when the Speedo's gonna come out?
You know, the guy
guys are
was here at the
crazy.
meeting tonight, and I was gonna tell him the only reason I didn't come was because they wanted me not to wear shorts.
Yeah, so, okay, that's good, we'll go there.
The final change, that's gonna be on section 620, or I'm sorry, yeah, section 624, other districts. You have already approved, removing the T at the header for the industrial district, as well as the NA to dash changes and the NR to NA changes. However, you guys had a question regarding why they seem to be increasing the side and rear setback in the IND district.
Right.
So, the original iteration of the current zoning bylaws had a table section, 624, entitled Other Districts. This included, and still does, a column entitled IND, or Industrial District. The current bylaw has a separate table, section 626, entitled Dimensional Standards. The industrial district creating a duplication of information, right? So there were two tables.
So there's two tables and they got two different numbers.
Given the exactly inconsistency of the format of table 626 with the original tables, planning board chose to make the assumption that 626 was a later addition, and thus the dimensions considered more recently than 624. So this number was the only contradiction found between the two tables. And so they have amended this to reflect the most recent number for side rear setback from table 626, as well as all information in 626. But obviously, that was the only inconsistency found. I hope that answers your question. And that is the extent of the changes that were made. I'm happy to let the board know that you will be appearing before them.
Tell them they better bring fire extinguishers. Okay, so that's everything, that's all these, that's everything in a nutshell now.
In a nutshell, yes, I think that there was, for example, at the end of that table, changing, ration to ratio, including, a numerical edit, but that's the synopsis.
Thank you.
Sure.
Anything else that we need to go over?
No, we're good.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I
Have a
second.
Second by Rich, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose, abstain. We adjourn. Thank you.